We're back, guys. We are finally here for the finals day of the Garrison. You do an impressive stare, Marianne. Love it.
Thank you very much. Many hours spent staring at a screen. They will allow your vision to...
Every single day. Nobody grinds like this guy. But yeah, we're here for finals day. First set of semifinals is about to begin. We've got Beasty and Kiljardi drafts already on the screen. We've got the first matchup already. But first, let me pick your brain about this draft, because usually the HRE first pick, we saw that a lot from Beasty. Now, this draft is not flipped, asked twice. So, yeah, what do you think here? What happened?
Well, most notably what we see here is the fact that, see, it's a bit confusing with the bans, because did Beasty actually have access to that Jushi first pick? I think he did, right?
It looks like he did. So for everyone watching, the bans are below the other people's draft. So they're flipped as to what we usually see. But yeah, just for your logic, yes, Beasty could have picked Jushi first, and apparently he thinks he just doesn't need it.
There were talks yesterday, friendly banter, as it goes between these players about, oh, I'll leave you late HRA if you leave me Jushi, and all these talks, and oh, can we just do Abbasid on Himeyama for pretty much all the games? And so, naturally, you know, these players knowing each other very well, the banter and the mind games especially were under heavy go yesterday, and it manifests today itself a bit as it looks like Beasty says that, yeah, I don't actually need Jushi first pick. You can ban it next phase round if you want. So, yeah.
Now the power move would have been to just not ban it at all.
Yeah, well, wasn't the case here, but we do have our first matchup, just like you said, Asklad, and it is going to be French against Ayyubids on Basin. Quite an interesting and action-packed matchup to start us off with. Fairly close, I would say. I mean, historically, Ayyubids is quite a counter to any kind of cavalry civilization, right? It makes sense. They have early camels and very powerful camels at that, which, well, knights don't deal very well with at all. Now, Pro Scouts has flipped it a little bit on its head. The extra food access that French has access to, if they do opt for that Pro Scouts, is quite significant. Now, Ayyubids Pro Scouts is something we have seen as well.
Unfortunately so.
As to how likely that is today is something we're going to have to see, of course. I know kiljardi in particular is not always the biggest fan of the meta as it is currently. So I think if he doesn't have to go Pro Scouts like with Ayyubids, that is something he might not opt for. But, you know, you never know, right? I mean, certain spanners can be thrown in the mix, and that is something we may very well see today with players like Beasty and kiljardi.
Yeah. As well, on Basin, we do have that stealth forest that is going towards the trade post. So there's a little bit more of an opportunity for some sneaky plays. But we're going into the first match, folks, as I just see that first donation of the day come in. So please, people, if you want to support the prize pool. But we're in the semifinals. And we see Beasty in the yellow, heading straight for Kiljardi's base. We're already 1 minute in. See Kiljardi's scout at the bottom there. And we've got French versus Ayyubids. I'm excited for this matchup. Let's see what they're cooking for us.
Both players adopting their signature colors here. Beasty, of course, in the yellow and kiljardi in the orange. So might be a bit difficult for some people to distinguish this depending on how exactly your monitor settings are laid out. But scouting heavily underway for both players here on Basin.
Yes, we're already getting dizzy, Cal.
Now, showing every possible angle here for us to observe. I'm particularly curious what sort of wing we will see here for kiljardi being picked in the future. Most likely Dervish, right? But things can be altered somewhat. Military reinforcement for that free Desert Raider wouldn't surprise me either. Perhaps even a growth wing if we might see a heavier feudal committal from kiljardi. But honestly, the Dervishes provide such an insane amount of value, especially in those early Pro Scout skirmishes, which will prove to be pivotal in this matchup.
Now, Dervishes have seen a lot of play, mostly on the ladder. We haven't seen them too much in recent higher level tournament games. But you, as a tournament player now, how difficult is it to keep them alive? Because your opponent knows you only get the 2 of them. And yeah, if they're gone, your entire wing is useless.
Frankly, I feel like they're perhaps easier to keep alive than they should be in a lot of cases. I mean, the healing in combination with the speed, in combination with the Camel Unease aura, makes it so that, especially for cavalry, it is pretty difficult to pick them off, right? I mean, the combination of having two of them, it's a lot of healing Askeladd, right? And
there's
the
your
minus damage.
predicted reinforcement wing, so we're gonna get those 3 camels for kiljardi.
School of Cavalry on the other side, no surprises there. I mean, trade on this map especially is not something that's very likely, and from French even less so against a heavy cavalry civilization like the Ayyubids. So that would be quite a crazy move indeed. But, you know, it seems like we don't see a Dark Age wheelbarrow from Beasty's French here, which is something that has become somewhat popular for some players. I know 3D Cat notably does tend to favor that Dark Age wheelbarrow on the French, which, I mean, it's so good, right? Not only do you have the cheaper mill, we also have the cheaper technologies that are all innate to the French. But Beasty decides not to, opting instead for that faster, more efficient age up in this case, and getting
Let's
that
be
earlier
real.
pro scout timing.
Early pro scouts will be seeing the deer packs. There is one right next to his base. There's one all the way in the top corner, but he's more gonna look like looking towards kiljardi's deer packs, and they are situated right above the Ayyubid base. So kiljardi, what do you expect out of him? Will he go for a raider horseman comp here to keep Beasty at bay, to keep him a little bit under pressure to contest those knights? Or what is the poison of choice here for the Ayyubid?
You have to make some units, right? I mean, you can't just zoom directly for a naked castle or like 1-2 desert raiders. I feel like that's not quite enough of a commitment here. I mean, you know, if you do leave those deer packs up for grabs, the amount of units that the French will be able to muster is just way too overwhelming, right? The amount of food they can get on there, if they get more than 2 or 3 deer packs, is just astronomical, right? It's just too much. So you have to take some sort of engagements, some sort of good fights here to at least delay the pro scouts somewhat, to give yourself a window to challenge properly and at least get a tech advantage, hopefully. But the Desert Raider now from the military reinforcement is out and likely making its way across the map as we speak. Whereas the first knight out for Beasty, quite a standard opening here for him so far. Knight into then pro scouts as the scouts are being queued up now. Likely we might be seeing a second stable from Beasty, but I wouldn't be surprised to see an archery range as well to offset that Desert Raider.
Yeah, Beasty was just scoozing along kiljardi's base there in the back, sees the reinforcement wing come in. Now he sees the camel situated in front of those berry patches, and the knight just has to leave, doesn't want to trade out with that raider. And we see kiljardi's resources actually just growing straight towards that castle age. She's just gonna go naked with just the 3 raiders? That seems exceptionally greedy.
It does seem quite greedy, doesn't it? Especially considering the fact that no berries are being left over, so I'm not sure whether he does opt for the growth wing in that castle age to get additional food on his berries, as well as the 7 villages, of course, or whether he opts for the dervish. These are the most likely alternatives. Desert Raider finds the knight once again trying to wrap around the side. Tower is going to be rushed up here. The villagers could be in slight danger here as the charge does come in. One villager is going to get picked up, but Textiles is already in. However, not enough to save the villager as Beasty commits a lot of damage on the knight, but if it does stay alive, then in exchange for one villager, I would say that's worth it.
That's 100% worth it. kiljardi even opting to go for the textiles, and still it's not enough. Such an unfortunate timing on the tower. He was just like 2 seconds late and gets punished for it. But yeah, as you say, if he doesn't go for the growth wing with the berries in a little bit in the back of his mind, then he'll be out a lot of food. And the deer packs are outside of his base, likely to be taken if he doesn't make enough units. Beasty will be seeing there's only the raider out, only the one right now, second one about to pop. But that is not enough to keep those protected. We do see an Ayyubid age up, and judging from the resources, that must be an advancement wing.
I think you might be. It is in fact an advancement wing. Very, very surprising move here from kiljardi, I must say. I mean, this is quite an all-in move, right? Going for that fast age up like this, especially pretty much naked, besides for the 3 units from the military wing reinforcement. kiljardi is clearly looking for a very aggressive, sharp tempo timing here for the age up. He wants to get up super quickly, get out those lancers, and start contesting these knights very early. But frankly, I mean, I feel like if Beasty just keeps massing knights, maybe adds in a barracks or 2 as well, is kiljardi actually going to have the food to support?
Yeah, the food is very scary, especially because the berries are also at the top side, so Beasty basically only has to control the one side with the deer. It's already starting to make more knights as we speak. I don't think he's scouted out the age up just yet. I don't see any scouts in the back of kiljardi's base there, but He must know this is pretty much a naked castle. He just probably won't expect how fast it is.
No, it's certainly super quick and slightly uncharacteristic of Ayyubids nowadays, right? The advancement wing is not something we have seen too often, but I know that is the second time I think Kiljardi does it in this tournament on the Ayyubids, so it is something that he favors. Kiljardi is this very timing, tempo-orientated player. He loves finding these moments in the game where you're at your weakest and exploiting them to the fullest. As to whether this is a point in the game where Beasty is at his weakest, not too sure about that one, right? As they are coming in hot, 5 scouts on the field now, so they will be coming in super quickly, and the food will only ramp up further and further for Beasty. And now, a little raid onto the gold, causing some idle time. Realistically, not too much damage is going to get done here. It's tough to dive in the feudal age under towers, even as the French, especially with no undermesh in just yet.
Yeah, undermesh is on the way for Beasty, and basically this gold is the most important part for him to attack. Without the gold, Kiljardi will not be able to get more lancers, get more upgrades, and Beasty, as soon as that H-up hit, he immediately shifted more villagers to gold, probably just for a lot more knights, and maybe also for his own H-up, but we do see an engagement here at the front, and Kiljardi actually losing a lot of the raiders to the archers there. Knights come in for another charge, but he leaves another one behind. So that is a pretty decent cleanup for Kiljardi there, but let's pay attention here. Oh, another very low knight going in, and he's gonna get punished. Not too sure this was super worth it for Beasty. What is he buying time for?
It's buying time for even more units. Frankly, I mean, sure, though the trade looked decent there for Kiljardi, we have to remember the level of food access that Beasty has compared to Kiljardi. Frankly, I don't think even trades will be enough for Kiljardi. He has to get very favorable ones. Speaking of, though, however,
That's
another knight does
trade.
go down. Yes, indeed it is, as the Camelancers find another big destroyed value, looking better and better for Kiljardi here, almost double in terms there, as many knights do go down. And now 3 lancers on the field, 4 more in queue. And still, no barracks out for Beasty yet. I'm not sure that's something he will opt for. More and more knights in queue. He stopped archers completely, realizing, well, there's nothing really to counter then. Yeah, we do see the first spearman in queue here. Scout getting picked off as well, with as their pack drops to the floor in a limp fashion. But frankly, this barracks is quite late, Askeladd. I'm not sure 1 barracks is actually enough here.
There's 3 lancers coming in, but yeah, we've got 3 knights defending, and the first spear is on the field. More reinforcements on the way, but Kiljardi, he's just going straight for the villagers. Now we got a little bit of a kerfuffle there, and on the other side, idling out the gold again. Nice play by Beasty. Kiljardi managing to pull back in time, saving all 3 lancers, and he'll be able to maybe pull them all back, or just, you know, go for another round.
Yeah, he definitely wants to save these lancers, but instead he opts to charge in again. Nice little putback there to save them at the last second. However, the spears and the archers are going to be able to finish off those low HP camel lancers. The issue here is you really want to keep them alive, but if you pull them all the way back to the base, then you have less units to contest Beasty on his side of the map. So it really is a tough position. And if you don't contest Beasty, then his army is just going to swell even further. Another nice charge in by Kiljardi, picking off a knight, maybe a second one about to go down as well, maybe a third even is likely to go down.
Nice target fire by that spear, though. Takes out 2 of the lancers. That is a rough punishment. But yeah, looking at the numbers, we've got 4 lancers, we've got 5 knights for Beasty. This is looking quite scary, and we still get the 3 raiders that can also go into range form to punish some spears. We also have a dervish there in the back already grabbing the first relics.
Relics in on the way for Kiljardi as well. That's definitely something that he's going to want to secure. At a food disadvantage like this, the minimum he will need is the majority of the relics in order to offset the army disadvantage here. Big numbers again by Beasty. Large charge onto the Camel Lancers. Wololo in the back as well. Kiljardi doesn't really have an in at this angle, as the spear numbers are jumping up as well as the knights. Looks like Beasty has no intentions of going Castle Age here just yet, which is definitely the prudent choice. You want to stay in feudal here and try to sort of use the food that you have here in order to get a significant mass and keep Kiljardi somewhat pinned in his base. But Kiljardi is doing a good job of keeping Beasty on his toes here.
Yeah, we've got the full knight spear combination now out of Beasty. He still has some leftover archers just in case for extra raiders. But we do see them moving around the map already, scouting for the relics. Not a whole lot they can do, because, well, the dervishes, they also heal while they're carrying the relics, and I'm constantly tilted about that fact. Knights coming in for another round here. These villagers, though, they have shivs and do have textiles, so no can do. Beasty's army mass growing faster than Kiljardi by a lot now. We see some crossbows popping out to deal with the extra knights, but really not a whole lot answers for those 10 spears.
As we were talking about before, right? Beasty doesn't really have too much pressure here to go castlage. The knights will deal very well with any kind of ghoul arms. Spears will be able to deal in mass with the camel lancers, and really it comes down to the food. Now that Beasty did spot the fact that kiljardi is going onto the berries, it is a prime target to strike as kiljardi looks to make a defense. His spears moving in along with the knights at the front line here. Decent engagement there for Beasty, but the numbers do favor kiljardi. Naturally, defender's advantage is going to make that possible. Most of the spears go down as well as the archers, and Beasty is forced back. Only one of the knights goes down, but still, the food access for kiljardi is not denied.
Yeah, as long as the Lancer numbers stay low and stay outside of Beasty's space, I think Beasty is quite happy with just trading out. As long as Pro Scout is still going, there's still one more deer pack he could potentially be taking from kiljardi. And judging from his resources, he's not going to make his own castle play. And so far, he lost a total of 2 villagers. He's just fine.
Yes, Beasty did very well there to get himself the space in order to start trending towards this castlage, right? Realistically, Beasty wasn't exactly going to push kiljardi off of those berries, right? But keeping him there, defensive on that side of the map, is exactly what Beasty needs in order to have the space on the rest of the map to age up. Even going so far as to get the boar in the center there. Quite a greedy little move there. We'll see if that bites him in the behind later on in this game. But 2 relics in already for kiljardi. The rest will soon be on their way as well. And if this does end up with a 5 relic split for kiljardi, then, you know, the food for Beasty might be evened out in terms of gold for kiljardi.
Oh yeah, and nice charge there by Beasty. Once again, he finds the perfect timing. Tower is almost finished, but not quite. He only finds the 1 villager, but it's a little bit more idle time. Crossbows, though, are on the case, are still at home. But yeah, look at perfect timings. There was the guild hall just popping up, and Beasty needs to run, but he does have the defenders here at home. Lots
Quick
of spears.
feet on those villagers, yeah. Almost disaster striking there for Beasty. Guildhall on the way now with 15. Beasty wasting no time. And another move out onto the food by kiljardi. The knights do find the villagers. There's a decent amount of crossbows here, so the knights will pay a heavy price for any villager kills here. But it will definitely hurt kiljardi, considering the passive bonus villager production speed for the French. As we can see now, already an additional more than 10 eco lead here for Beasty. Spears chasing after the camel lancers in the north do manage to pick up 1, but of course the additional move speed of the cavalry will allow them to get away unharmed here. But Beasty picks himself up another 2 villager kills.
Yeah, but man, those textiles, they're doing work today. Usually, when I see a player get textiles, everyone just tells me, nope, don't do that. It's a waste of 100 gold. Just control your villagers better, just scout better. No, this time around, this was definitely worth it. He would have lost twice that amount by this time.
Without a doubt, I agree. I mean, in such a matchup where there's so much cavalry, so much raiding, so much activity across the map, you know, it makes you wonder whether it is worth it or not. I would say it is, right? I mean, sure, you can make an argument that there's a world in which perfect scouting and macro will allow you to save any kind of, you know, prevent yourself from most type of damage, but realistically, you know, at the highest level, the aggressor is also going to play very well.
We do see kiljardi going extremely heavy into the crossbows now. Now, spears against crossbows is not great for either side if you can find the right connection. Of course, the crossbows will be able to kite, but in decent numbers, spears still trade cost efficiently, and you just overwhelm. And yeah, kiljardi really doesn't have a good solution for them right now. But as far as game state goes, we still don't see the sacred sites being taken, and food is now going to become a little scarce for both players. We still have that 1 boar that kiljardi cannot take and Beasty cannot take because it's right in front of kiljardi's base.
Beasty managed to secure himself his own deer packs. No surprises there, of course, but kiljardi has done a good job of keeping at least some of the deer on his side of the map safe, which is so important in a matchup like this, right? You can't allow that to go away as well, because it's easy to forget that, sure, it's extra deer and food for the opponent, but it's less food for you in turn, right? And this is not a matchup where you want to go farmers very early. Interesting point you brought up regarding the spear against crossbow earlier. Normally they do decently here. Oh, as we see, horseman switch now coming in for Beasty. But the spearmen do well against crossbows generally, but the interesting thing with Ayyubids is of course that Sultan's Mamluks upgrade, which will give them additional movement speed for every unit killed for a certain... So, I'm not sure exactly how many seconds it is, but decent duration there for them. Yeah, 25% damage, 20% movement speed for 10 seconds after killing a unit. That is quite a significant for that kiting potential, right? So, just like the French have the arbalètrier with additional melee armor, Ayyubids have their crossbows having additional move speed for extra kiting, so they might not trade as favorably as for other civilizations with regular crossbows.
We also see kiljardi queuing up his first horseman, also remaking a scout because he lost the last one just recently. But is he going for another raid here? I don't see any defenders very close by. This could actually be 5 dead villagers, but reverse sweep, we've got the 5 villagers of Beasty also being threatened and no spears in the vicinity. Yeah, look at Beasty's controller trying to go for the surround. He'll definitely pick some up, and there is the double pronged attack going for the wood line. And another tower with 5 villagers.
Yes, and Beasty does this very well, right? He provokes the units move out onto that southern berries in order to prevent any kind of damage being done, and at the same time he moves it from a different angle. The villagers do manage to escape, their tower does get torched down, and there are so many crossbows here for kiljardi on the defense. They are going to push the spear mass back. Meanwhile, on the other side, kiljardi didn't manage to pick off any of the villagers from Beasty as the spearmen were there just in time to protect.
Yeah, that definitely was worth it once again. Picks up 3 kills there on the wood line, but he trades out a decent chunk of his spearmaster, and kiljardi finds the gold. And doesn't find any kills so far. There's the first one, maybe grab a second one and get out. No, we go for 3 and we succeed.
Yeah, nice little pick-off there for kiljardi, certainly. Still no textiles in for Beasty at all, but the arbalètrier numbers are now building horsemen as well, and this, this is the composition here for the French, right, in this mid-game. Once their food starts running out and you can no longer scale knights as effectively, arbalètrier with horsemen is just such a solid composition, especially once you get in that influence for the French keeps to get an even further discount on your stables and archery ranges, and combined with the spears serving as a nice little steadfast front line besides the horsemen, this is a comp that I think kiljardi will really struggle to deal with.
As does everyone. The arbalest with the extra melee armor is just so tanky, so you can't really go for that just mass spear combination that you'd usually go for. Beasty though, going for his second town center now. kiljardi, he does have 1 on stone, does have a little bit of a pile set up, but so far still nothing. And we do have another raid from Beasty coming from the side. Gonna find those wall villagers. Crossbows are already here, but we're gonna just take one out on the way out and leave one knight behind.
Yeah, nice preparation there by kiljardi in anticipation of that raid, right? And this is what you have to do at this high level, right? You might think that, oh, sending a villager off in the distance to start building a wall, or maybe 2 or 3 villages, chances are the wall goes up and it's fine.
It's never a good idea.
No, absolutely. You're not at this level, right? You will be discovered and the villagers will die if there is no defense. So, well done by kiljardi to recognize that. But now Beasty's quite scary looking army mass here. He's moving directly towards the front of kiljardi's base. kiljardi has his own second town center now up and 5 relics to work towards boosting his economy even further. But this is such a scary mass here from Beasty, and kiljardi, all he has on the other side, Asklad, is just crossbows pretty much.
Yeah, just the crossbows, and they'll not be happy with the 20 horsemen that are running around the field, and now actually finding those crossbows in the corner, even with the Sultan's Mamluks, even with the extra move speed. He first has to kill something to get it, and falls around. This is a horrible fight.
What a catch here by Beasty. The split crossbows. Beasty recognizing that they were there, defending the wall up from the villages, instantly moves past the TC to pinch the crossbows in turn. But still, there's just no front line here for kiljardi. The horsemen and the space are having a field day, munching on them. kiljardi desperately retreating deeper and deeper in his base, trying to use these choke points to his advantage. But there's no front line, Asklad. How can these crossbows possibly hold?
The simple answer is they simply cannot. Look at the army numbers. It is 40 to 12 at this point. Beasty knows this might be just it. Still has 10 horsemen going. Still has arbalest. He's just going to go for villager kills now. Now that kiljardi doesn't have any army anymore to protect this. There's one scout just sending attack pings in the back, but yeah, kiljardi knows.
It's just too much.
I
Beasty.
mean, you just don't expect to get your crossbows caught out in your own base behind your second town center, but here we are.
No, quite a painful way to be caught there with your pants down, essentially. If you're kiljardi, as it does appear that the names are a little bit flipped here. You know, we have a bit of impersonation.
I would have never noticed.
No, yeah, they do look somewhat alike. If you don't look at the glasses and the face shape.
Do you think kiljardi slept tonight, or did Demo poke him all day long?
That is a joke that Demo made yesterday, but
I don't think it was a joke.
This level of competition, you got to take all the advantages you can get naturally, and it wouldn't surprise me too much if that may have been on the cards. We have here the grassing up, and oh my god, the resources gathered is just, an additional 10,000 resources for Beasty. That's just... It's ridiculous.
It's pretty decent, and keep in mind that is with 5 relics for the Ayyubids behind that. And with Golden Age, it's a worse Golden Age than you'd have as the Abbasid, but it's still 10% extra. And yeah, numbers are still working out for the French. Pro Scouts is pretty good.
Most notably that food there, right? An additional just over 6,000 extra food for Beasty. This is the power of the Pro Scouts, right? Even getting in only his own deer packs, and he may have snagged a couple of kiljardis there. Sure, kiljardi has access to the additional boosted berries, but you can see the numbers just don't lie here. Combined with the fact that kiljardi did go for that sort of all-in maneuver with the fast age up, I must say I didn't really feel like it paid off for him, right? The only possible boost you get from the advancement wing is that cheaper age up and that faster age up, but besides that, Askeladd, you get nothing.
Yeah, the faster timing is very nice against some civs, but French, they already have the feudal knights ready to take on your lancers. Spears are always an option and are not that expensive, so they can just fight you.
They can just fight you indeed, and with so much food access, Beasty has no reservations about staying longer time in feudal than perhaps other civs would like. Just like you said, the French knights deal with camel lancers in low numbers as well as any type of Gulam play. Spears then will also deal with the camel lancers as their higher tier will eventually win out over the knights in turn. But besides that, with the food under the TC, the additional passive villager production, Beasty can just sort of chill, take some decent fights, use his food, and then once he pushed kiljardi back into his base defensively, as kiljardi had to defend his food sources, that's his window to go up.
Yeah, he also hit the farm transition perfectly. Kiljardi was just spending a lot of the wood on the farms. Beasty, though, I didn't see any in his base just yet. He had that one extra boar, and it was just enough.
One extra boar was enough, and it's a significant amount of food, isn't it? I was a little bit worried when he first went on it so in the center of the map, right? That is quite an exposed location, especially against camel lancers and other raiding units, but, if you keep them on their side of the map, then there's not much to worry about.
Yeah, just do that. It's so easy. Sheesh.
Easy for Beasty at this level, isn't it?
Oh. Look at that second map, and I do remember King of the North matchups. Just the other way around, I do remember kiljardi just pushing into people when Byzantines were still considered super OP and just hitting that timing push as Byzantine tries to go to the castle age and destroying everyone with it.
kiljardi does have a certain way he likes to play from the Jeanne perspective, but of course he is in the Byzantine driving seat this time round. Quite the interesting map for the interesting matchup, right? Jeanne D'Arc against Byzantines here. Personally, I'm tempted to say Byzantines is favored on a map like this. Due to the narrow nature of it, you have very little room to maneuver with the knights, don't you? Less so than on other maps. And sure, you might get most of the deer in, but where exactly are you going to poke? You can't engage directly into the Mitane. And then whether it's longbows, whether it's jabs, which are the contracts we're most likely to see, it serves as a very, very scary backline, doesn't it? And it feels so difficult to engage. However, I was talking with Beasty myself several hours before this game, and he still thinks that, yeah, even on this map, he thinks it's so favored for the French civilization or the JD civilization against some. We're talking about Malians specifically, but it's a bit of a similar dynamic here with Byzantines, right? There's a lot of overlap here. So we'll see how we can make it happen.
Yeah, Byzantines, of course, is happy with the more narrow map, trying to contest those deer. And if you can keep the French off of them, then there's just not gonna be as many units. Just gonna have a much better time. But do you think we're gonna see some Dark Age aggression out of Jeanne D'Arc here?
That is a good question. I think it might potentially be a possibility, especially with such an exposed forward berries for kiljardi. I'm not sure if Beasty is the type of player to opt for that here. It does feel a little bit of a gamble. Sure, he can go directly forward with the scout to check for that, but I mean, you know, very early on in the Dark Age, right as you begin, you have to set your villagers if you want to make a barracks, and you know, if it does end up being a back gold spawn and or a back berry spawn, then whether that pays off is a different matter entirely, isn't it?
Beasty did go directly across, snacking a few of Kiljardi's sheep next to the base, but now he circles back around. And Kiljardi, he's already all the way in the back there, grabbing more sheep behind the base. And we don't see any Dark Age fun, unfortunately. But we do see quite exposed golds, a little bit behind the wood line for Beasty, which is quite nice. And those berries all the way in the front, Kiljardi is not gonna be happy about that one.
Certainly not, right? I mean, it's such a difficult spot to be in against a supremely aggressive civilization like Jeanne D'Arc, right? Once those knights get on the field and those archers, if you are not able to protect the Grand Winery Zone of Influence, which is the landmark we're most likely going to see, I mean, frankly, without olive oil, Byzantines turn into one of the weakest civilizations in the game, as you'd expect. I mean, it is one of their main bonuses besides assistance. So no olive oil means no mercenaries. No mercenaries means half the army you normally would have.
I mean, I'd like to remind you of Demo's words. This genius and insanity scale, and Kiljardi falls straight towards one of those sides. So we'll see what he's cooking, but for now it's a grand winery on the forward berries, as we see the School of Cavalry being built by Jeanne D'Arc there. And we do see the mill. So far, no surprises, just standard.
Very standard indeed here so far. 2 on the age up from the School of Cavalry, Jeanne, and a helpful little villager beside her. You know, on the other side, very standard opening here for kiljardi as well. Opting for the 2 on gold instead of 3 as some other players tend to do. So perhaps looking for a slightly earlier mercenary camp, slightly earlier barracks, timing potentially at the delay of those upgrades, which could be a prudent choice potentially, right? You want to get a lot of Limitane out early to deal with the knights and defend your own deer packs. Realistically, there's not much you're going to be able to do as Byzantines here to deny the deer on Beasty side of the map, right? It's just like moving with slow Limitane all across the map there is a surefire way to get caught out of position and start bleeding units, which is definitely not something you want to do against knight civilizations, and most certainly not against Jeanne, with the threat of XP gain being on the table.
Oh yeah, but talking to the players here at the venue, I've heard it said a lot that if you don't at least get one of the packs of your opponent plus both of your own, then Pro Squads wasn't worth it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, right? I mean, you're ultimately paying a technology. If you only get your own deer packs, you're paying such a premium cost for a technology to get them safely on the UTC, but normally knight civilizations can gather their own deer packs safely anyway, right? So getting a whole additional deer pack is typically where it starts to pay off significantly. It doesn't surprise me at all, they're definitely right.
Yeah, we do see there's the double gold, and Beasty's just gonna push the deer in as well. This is such a nice spot, assuming he can hold it, and as you say, knight civilizations expect to hold fairly easily.
Very nice pushing here, starting by Beasty here, right? I mean, it's so helpful if you can get these there even closer to your TC. Realistically, they're not going to get stopped by kiljardi in terms of, you know, stop from being gathered. I mean, kiljardi is going to prevent the shoving going all the way here, as he should. Very well done so by him. But I mean, just having access to them even earlier will allow Beasty to swell his knight numbers and potentially later his archer numbers even earlier, right? So that is the reason for the shove in. Limitane moving directly across the map, so kiljardi apparently not believing what I was saying, instead opting to go directly straight across and start challenging Beasty's knight mass and his own deer. But as the knight makes his way forward, the Limitane does back off.
Yeah, if you only have the one Limitane, you're just gonna throw it away because the knight's gonna eat it. And if there's a second one, even more. And if there's a Jeanne D'Arc with a big old sword in her hand, then you're just gonna give over a little bit of experience as well. So Kiljardi, he needs to pay attention to all of these units he's spreading around the map to protect those deer camps, because Beasty likes to feast on them. As we see, there is the winery almost eating up half of the berries already. First choice of the contract we'll see very soon. Is there a mercenary house already in play? We see it go up as we speak. But Kiljardi has hidden a limited right there in the gold. And it's being not okay. Hello, pathfinding. Gets the connection on the villager, and he will find a kill. No textiles this time. No Akratoy activated, unfortunately. It wouldn't have mattered anyway. He was on the far side of the goal. That would have been a third hit.
Losing villages in this kind of a position, it's so easy for it to happen against knights on gold, right, for civilizations, even with spearmen in position, and it's always so frustrating, because in your mind you did everything right? You have the spears there, they should be bracing for the knight, but with just some wiggle steps from the cavalry, it's so easy for them to move. Not again, as the village finds another charge. I think Beast is going to commit to this one. Yeah, another village. Oh, but the Akratoy defense at the last second is enough for the villager to survive. Very well reacted there by Kiljardi.
And we do see the Javelin contract coming out. First set is already underway. We've got 6 limited, but they're all defensively positioned against just the one knight that has been there. And we do see a second one making its way across as well. But yeah, Beasty is already grabbing his secondary deer camp there from the side, and then he'll try to contest Kiljardi's.
Well, Javelin's now on the way, just like you mentioned, and this is a very prudent choice of contract, right? The Javelins are going to do very well in dealing with
no, he finds another one, just snacks him away and leaves again. That is already 2 villagers down.
Bit of a greedy forward position there for that. It's only the second cistern, as Kiljardi opted to build his first cistern directly in the center of his base, which sure will boost a large amount of resources, not only the berries, the sheep, but also the gold. However, the issue with that is that because of the minimum requirement of space between cisterns, it does force you to potentially put your second cistern in a very exposed position. And getting up that second cistern is very important here for Kiljardi. It looks like one of the knights might go down here as he looks to opt for the charge onto the scout. The javelins are doing good work against the knight, the damage being done. However, I think he might just get away, and that's so painful. Kiljardi not even able to take a knight, only a scout for his troubles, as I'm sure Beasty will waste no time in bringing this knight back home.
No, you see which villager is all the way at the front, but we do have a tower in the back. And Limitanei actually blocking the way out, so this knight's gonna take a lot of damage on the way out. Beasty, though, he saves all of his knights so far, is up to 4, while 2 of them are barely usable at this point. Got the second set of Javelineers now out, and that might mean that Kiljardi might make the first moves onto the map, as we see those orange dots moving towards the yellow base.
You have to admire Kiljardi's confidence here in his ability to keep his villagers safe by still sticking with the one villager that's, essentially on almost invisible health there on the goal. I myself would definitely pull him back safely onto another grove below the GC, but sure, he has the tower to protect them, but it's still so risky. A single charge connects, and that's the end of that villager's life. Now Kiljardi posturing quite aggressively. Now that he has the 2 javelins out, the 2 sets of javelins for a total of 8, that is enough in order to start one-shotting archers, and this is a prime time here. Power spike for Kiljardi to start being very aggressive, doing well to recognize. So big damage going on to that knight. It might just die to the javelins here, and that's a big pick-off here for Kiljardi.
Yeah, taking just 1 out of those already a huge pain for Beasty. And we do see second volley, maybe? No, not quite as much. There's the third one though. Takes another scout. Beasty down to 3. Messe down. Beasty already started moving towards Kiljardi's home deer pack, because Kiljardi now on the left side would have loved to be in time to contest Beasty's own deer, but just wasn't. Oh, but that guy. That guy's living dangerously, and Kiljardi says, you know what?
Yeah, just a traveler in the night is what that scout is. Don't mind me, I'm just delivering there for the villages. I mean, I'm not associated with any kind of French civilization.
Uber Venison. We see Beasty moving towards that gold again, towards the top side. Kiljardi knows this is going on, but it's likely going to cause some idle time in a second. Let's hope it doesn't cause another villager to keel over, as they're busy building the house quite far away from the tower. that has arrow slits.
Arrowslits is now in, right? So it'll make it even more difficult for Beasty's Knights to find any kind of damage without taking quite a bit of damage of their own in turn. Beasty looks for an angle here, but sees the fortified position and realizes that, yeah, there's not quite a way to poke in here. Textiles on the way for kiljardi as well, along with additional economic upgrades here for specialized pick as well as horticulture is on the way for him. Meanwhile, decent upgrade advantage here for Beasty, as Iron Underbesh now on the way as well. Still arrow in already. Oh, this is a nice little pitch maneuver here.
Very nicely caught out. There's a charge on the Javelineers. You don't want to lose any of them because you cannot replace them right now, just as the oil income is not there yet. But nice cleave by Jenny. Just saw the experience pop out, and the forward berries are idled out. Do have Jenny taking quite a bit of damage here. The heal is still available, and we have another ping on the gold. But kiljardi hopefully in time to prevent any villager losses.
One more villager did go down there, I think perhaps on the berries there for kiljardi, if not on the gold. So another little chip in his armor in this game. However, securing that southern berry pack there for kiljardi, that's certainly a very, very good little prize to obtain out of all of this. I mean, the javelin numbers continue to swell right now up to 12. He's going to have enough for a fourth batch very soon as well. Beasty raiding everywhere with these knights, just looking for little angles to pick off stray villagers, and this is what you have to do in this matchup, right? It's so difficult to take a direct engagement head on as JD against.
kiljardi doesn't see the arch now. He does just barely in time, but well, there is 41 units for Beasty. That's a scary archer mass, and as the more archers that come out, the less good the Javelineers will be against them, because in the sustained fight they just have more damage as the archers. JD makes it away. Javelineers having a lot of base damage, so it's quite scary for her to be anywhere near the front lines. But Beasty decides, maybe I'll lure him out a little bit more. Maybe I can... This is quite far out, actually. kiljardi, you gotta pay attention here. Byzantines are there, but the army numbers are definitely not.
Big fight here happening in the center. JD barely gets away by the skin of her teeth. The Limitari numbers are dropping very, very fast. Those large archer mass, nearly 30 archers here for Beasty. JD does end up falling, but the knight numbers are still looking pretty healthy here for kiljardi. And even for Beasty, sorry. And even knight numbers to Limitani, that is not the kind of position you want to be in if you are the one with the spears. As no more Limitani left alive here for kiljardi. Beautiful bait by Beasty to get him to overextend, as the archers are now actually enough to clean up the rest of these jabs, and that knight doing such a good job of making it possible there in the front. Basically almost no army left here for kiljardi in this game, as he just overextends a bit too much.
Yeah, there's one more set of jabs out, but it is 30 archers, and all of the forward food for kiljardi is now denied. He only has his olive groves there, and even them, they are not safe if Beasty decides to just walk back into the base. We do see the ram tech coming in. Beasty has a lot of resources in the bank as well, preparing for rams, preparing for more units. He knows he's in a great position, and if kiljardi gets pushed off here, he's in a lot of trouble.
A lot of trouble indeed, as behind this kiljardi's macro is starting to slip here a little bit. Part of me thinks that he was just about to think of a castlage before that engagement, and perhaps was caught macroing when the engagement did happen, and you know, taking a fight like that when you're almost halfway to the resources you need for castlage, that's one of the worst possible times for you to end up taking a fight like that. And you can see the result of which, 3 javelins and 3 limitani against 30 archers and 6 knights. Beasty might have potentially been thinking of castlage at one point, but is instead now building rams and swelling his numbers even further, realizing that, well, I can probably just kill you at this very moment.
Yeah, I'm not sure what kiljardi's game plan is right now, because you're so far behind in feudal down, you can never catch up. You basically need the castle age. You need to get out those armored units, and there's already 8 knights. What do you even do against this?
What do you do is a great question, because frankly, I don't really have an answer for you, as I feel like in this kind of a position, there is no right answer. I mean, sure, cataphracts might be the only possible unit that can sort of buy you enough time and get you some favorable trades here because of the lack of space from Beasty. But with so many knights and so many archers, the amount of cataphracts you would need to actually come back into this game is way more than kiljardi's economy would be able to support.
Yeah, and Beasty opts to go for the Royal Institute as he pushes with just the one ram. Gonna take out that cistern eventually, and kiljardi just doesn't have any military. He's waiting for Castle Age. He doesn't have any food.
No food, no more gold, and well, with the way it looks, not too many hopes left in this game. As I mean, he realizes as soon as the cistern begins getting rammed down, and he probably sees that the numbers are no longer swelling, so Beasty has his own Castle Age coming up behind this. It's just too much to overcome at this point in time.
Just the one overextend, and Beasty just runs over him. If he had stayed at home, maybe he can hold that under the arrow-slitted tower. But even then, it was a very discrepant fight there with the 30 archers against just the 18 javs. Total resources gathered. Once again, Beasty is ahead. But how many villages did he pick off early? I think it was 3.
Yeah, 3 villages were picked up by Beasty throughout the whole game, which, I mean, isn't that significant of a number, especially against the, powerhouse of an economy like the Byzantines, but every little does add up. And
hey,
of course,
delayed second cistern is also a little bit, it's just 5% less gathered for quite a few minutes. And
well said.
Look at that military value lead. I mean, it's just the knights, but if you take out all of the spears, then they'll just feast. And 30 archers, it's kind of like, hey, he did a kiljardi.
He did, in fact, do a kiljardi, right? He essentially used his own strategy against him there somewhat, with a bit more knights, perhaps, than kiljardi would have made. But, yeah, I mean, that is how it works in this kind of a matchup, right? You have an infantry composition, which is very powerful and strong head-on, reliable. And then you have a very mobile composition in the form of the knights with the archers. And a single overextension by the infantry composition, just crossing that halfway point of the map where the numbers are slightly even or more favored towards the knight civilization, and well, I mean, you can see the result of which, right? It's just a complete cleanup.
Yeah, kiljardi got a little bit unlucky with his food spawn, but yeah, as you say, he will have to go out on the map anyway at that point. And now we have an interesting matchup. We've got good old HRE against China. Now, I used to like this matchup a lot before we got pro scouts, and now I'm not as much of a fan. What do you think about this one?
It's an interesting matchup. I think it's really closely tied up, I have to say. I mean, both civilizations have so many strengths, and they're very prominent in the current meta. You could perhaps give the edge a little bit to HRE now after after the pro scouts nerf. It's not, of course, HRE can pro scout as well, but it affects China just a little bit more than HRE, I would say. And HRE still has that explosive Aachen economy in the feudal age, which scales very well into the late game as well. I'm very curious to see how this one will play out, because I feel like it is quite a common matchup nowadays, especially on a map like Dry Arabia. And it feels like there's quite a few potential ways that it can play out. I mean, Dark Age Aggression most likely on the
I'd love to see that.
Especially from HRE, right? And to what extent you commit to feudal after that as HRE and or as China is notable that with the current common Chinese opening, there is no IO typically, right? And Song Dynasty is also delayed, so no access to the Juganus, which means that China's feudal prowess is not quite as strong as we might normally be used to.
And as you say, the HRE feudal is scary, especially with that Aachen economy pumping out tons of units. Without the IO though, if you fight in Dark Age, if HRE surprises you and you get pushed off of that gold or other resources, you just can't move out. That would delay you severely. And do you just go for a safe IO opening here and hurt yourself by killing one of your villagers, essentially?
It could potentially be on the cards. I don't really see Beasty doing that, frankly. I mean, the reality is, if you don't go for the IO, sure, it's going to be a little while till you can get Pro Scouts, but it's so easy for China to just get out one archery range, one archer, push away any kind of space shenanigans from kiljardi, and if you're fishing with your macro, in most cases, you can still have your Pro Scouts earlier than the HRE player in that regard. But we are loading into the game here, and I'm very excited to see what we will be seeing in this game as Beasty spawning towards the eastern side of the map in the color yellow as the Chinese, whereas towards the western side of the map, kiljardi is going to be spawning in with the orange Holy Roman Empire.
Okay, I'll say for the next one, we really have to hype that up a little more. Come on, you've seen Bart do it. We can do that as well. I believe in us, but die City would Aachen come out for Beasty there. The Beasty kiljardi, I'm sorry. Back Wood Aachen, he's just happy with that. Has a back gold, has a back deer camp privately in his base. He'll love that one. And Beasty has both of the deer on the other side as we see the Imperial Academy being built next to the wood line, which is very nice because your lumber camp will be the thing that provides most of your tax income for the foreseeable future, as well as that mill that you don't have to move anymore now that you are providing deer to it the entire time.
Well said, and most notably here, right, we do not have any kind of Dark Age shenanigans coming in here from kiljardi, right? Instead, opting for that nice, quick, efficient age up, and yeah, it's a nice little Aachen there for him as well, right? With the back gold too. Unfortunately, yeah, if only the stone and the gold were swapped out, right, that would be so good for kiljardi in this case. But yeah, the back deer pack there for kiljardi is so helpful. Even his second deer pack is very retracted towards the edge of the map on his side, so that will be easier to defend for him as well, whereas Beasties are both projected forward. So I would say the spawn here definitely favors kiljardi a little bit, and being 0-2 down in this set is, you know, he will need every advantage he can get in order to come back in this series, as a reverse sweep is what he needs to stay in this tournament.
Oh yeah, yes indeed. Do you think he's gonna take the time to push in those deer all the way to his Aachen, or is that just a little bit of too much to ask here, as Beasty will have just a better timing on his Pro Scout?
Yeah, I mean, if he did start with that Dark Age aggression that might have been on the cards here, he might potentially opt to push them in with the Scout, but one Scout takes just, you know, so long to push in.
Oh, I'm aware.
From that distance, yeah, and you know, at the same time, you'd have to sacrifice the scouting on the opponent's side of the map in order to do so. But as you correctly said, Askalad, Beasty on the Chinese is going to have a far faster Pro Scout timing here than kiljardi. However, as we mentioned, the position of these deer packs may prove very pivotal and advantageous to kiljardi, as if he does get out some of those early spears to accompany his own scouts, then kiljardi might be able to completely prevent any kind of deer being stolen from his side of the map, at least.
You see that we've got 442 and Pro Scouts is already through for Beasty, and kiljardi even clicked it before him. You hate to see it. If you're anyone but the Chinese player, but kiljardi opening up right there with the first barracks. Stable is already up. We do see the first scout on the way. And I'll say this, he queues the scout first. I'm expecting Beastie Scout to be out first.
Completely right, especially with an Imperial official supervising it as an additional 150% production speed on that stable. Yeah, those scouts are going to be coming out big time.
And now we'll have the fight for the deer. kiljardi not opting to go for a spear just yet, just going into more of the scouts. But keep in mind, scouts quite pricey on the food, so he just didn't have the resources just yet. Would love to have a little bit of a better timing there, and we're gonna see what he uses those wood that he piles up for. Maybe opening for a few farms, maybe going for another production building just to have more feudal prowess. Beastie though, no units.
Yeah, no units here by Beastie, instead just pumping out scout after scout after scout. He's starting to bank up a little bit of wood here as well, so potentially some kind of production building is going to be a card, as you see. No, it is in fact a village instead, so just further increasing the population cap there makes sense to do so. Up to 7 scouts now, Beastie, so he's just going to get this deer quick.
He's already on his second pack. Like, first one, he just gobbled up immediately, and basically, if he micros this correctly, he's gonna just drop that deer kirk. Is he? Just one hit away from death now. Would it be a nice change, you say, if we reduce the scout HP by, like, say, 3, 4?
There's a lot of ways we can potentially change Pro Scouts to be just a little bit more of a choice as opposed to a necessity, right? There's many potential ways to do so. Cost, move speed, extra damage, like you said. Extra damage might potentially be one of the better options there, so I'm inclined to agree, but now kiljardi What a difference in styles here, right? Beasty opting for the Barbican there to secure his gold. I wouldn't be surprised to see him zoom towards the castle age after that, whereas kiljardi is pumping any and every single unit he can here, denying Pro Scout even more. And frankly, Beasty's choice here to not opt for any kind of units to help secure his own deer packs might end up biting him here because...
Yeah, is this enough? He only got the one deer camp. He got 2 deer carcasses from the second one, I believe, but the other ones, okay, they're still there. Beasty has the better vision here. I'm not sure if the barbecue sees that far, but if kiljardi leaves, Beasty's just gonna snack those up real fast.
And he does in fact leave. I think he did perhaps spot or suspects Beasty scouts making a greedy little move towards kiljardi's southern day there in the south part of the map. However, yeah, no, I can see on the minimap Beasty wasting no time and quickly picking up the deer packs that were left behind by kiljardi. However, if kiljardi is able to deny the deer pack here in the south as well, which is in fact his own, then it may end up being just fine for him. But you can see Beasty, I mean, he's going straight towards Castle Age.
Yeah, Beasty trying to go around here. Maybe he'll even drop the carcasses somewhere safe and then opt to go somewhere else with those guys, as long as he knows where the food is. But looking at those resources, we're gonna have an H up very, very soon. kiljardi on 24 units. This might be very scary for Beasty. Going straight in, getting... Is he gonna get that? Yeah, first villager just immediately goes down as the archers provide some fire support. But with the barbecue, they're next to the gold and also covering the food a little bit. And as I say that, kiljardi just steps in. Can he safely go anywhere near that without being shot at by the town center?
That's actually a very painful position here for Beasty to be in, right? The mill is just a little bit too forward, and all of those juicy deer carcasses to the southern part of the mill are exposed and unsafe for gathering. Even the ones...
Oh, another one drops.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he can gather from it, but any food he drops off might cost him a villager repeatedly here. House goes down, the blacksmith gets denied, the wood line is now unsafe as well. kiljardi just endless with his poking and idle time causing here. Very well played so far by Mamasse. Astronomical clock tower being rushed up quick time by 10 villagers here, which considering the Chinese go speed is going to be very, very fast. And now also being rushed up along with a stable. So Knights and Palace Guards are going to be the name of the game here.
Oh, I was gonna say, but that clock tower is not gonna do him any good if he's gonna be denied the wood. And kiljardi's army being right there, and he finds the villagers as Beasty moved all the way to the back. Now we're under TC. Beasty opting to not. Now he does Garrison. And kiljardi cannot stay here. He's just gonna lose all of those units. Does not have the range defense researched for feudal just yet. Oh my god, those two guys made it away. That might actually be very important for Beasty here, providing a little bit more sustenance and keep staying power in his base a little longer as the second Palace Guard and the third is running out, and those spears, they can't stay here. There's just not enough damage. There's not enough melee units right now. And as I said, there's the other part of the army.
And the other part of the army was just moving towards our northern side to deny any further deer being picked up by Beasty. However, it seems like now the army retreating is going to give Beasty access to his deer pack as before. Honestly, I think kiljardi perhaps overcommitted to units here just a little bit. I really like the damage that he did so far. However, it's pretty unlikely for him to be able to get any more damage done than what he already did. So, essentially, the additional investment of the army here is somewhat unlikely to pay off, at least until he gets Castle Age upgraded and actually takes a good decisive fight with it.
Honestly, Myriad, I saw those army numbers and I thought to myself, yeah, he's definitely committing here. But looking at his resources now, he's opting to go to castle, get his upgrades in, and Beasty looking to punish that with the knights already out and trying to snack those relics. But kiljardi's army numbers, still nice. He needs to pay attention here that since those are the high quality armored units, if he tries to protect those relics on the map, he'll not just lose them.
Completely right, and I mean, commitment here is probably what kiljardi was looking for, but it's just so tough to push in under a Barbican, under a Chinese TC, as well as with Palace Guards out at quick time in order to defend. It's tough in feudal age, right? I mean, you just take so much damage when you do end up making
the
these
first monk gets caught out, unfortunate there. And kiljardi now committing to the ram push. We saw Beasty do this in the last game, but that was a much more clear cut. But what do you think about this move? The monastery might just be a little bit too far out. If he just takes it down, Beasty will be forced to spend even more wood, even more of that resource that he's being constantly denied away from.
Wood is a bit of a luxury now for Beasty's Chinese for sure, as shortages are being caused by aggressive raiding Germans on this side of the map, it seems. Ram going onto the monastery as we speak, just as you predicted. A lot of palace guards out now for Beasty. Kiljardi getting close to his own age up, but a little bit of miss macro as he's voting an additional 800 food compared to what he needs for the age up. The goal just a little bit shy now.
Oh, I don't know about this move from kiljardi. He does not want to connect with those units, especially since half of his army is at home defending against potential night raids. And yeah, Regnus Cathedral coming out now. But oh, this might be nasty for Beasty, but he smells it, immediately pulls back.
Pulls back, yeah, I mean, dancing between the two wood lines constantly Beasty has to here. The Regnus Cathedral now on the way. No relics in on the way for Beasty yet, so all of them ripe for the taking for Kiljardi for now. He does have a lead in terms of RB numbers here, a significant one at that.
He doesn't want this fight. This would just wipe his entire army. Even if Beasty loses most of these armored units, there would be catastrophe for Kiljardi. His entire plan would fall apart. But maybe Beasty won't give him a chance, because these armored units with the double range defense, they'll just be able to stay in his base.
Completely correct, and this is what I was referring to, right? If Kiljardi just invested a little bit less into his army, which sure, his army is very large, but even now still can't contest this elite mass compared to his from Beasty, then he would already be up and be able to contest this and start bringing the relics home. But instead, he's left in a little bit of a tough position as he's forced to concede all map control now, and instead focus solely on survival here at this point in time until his upgrades do start kicking in. And you know, we do see tri-composition from Kiljardi, so what upgrades exactly do you prioritize here? It doesn't feel great upgrading spearmen, horsemen or archers in this position. You desperately need crossbows and perhaps your own knights and men-at-arms. But now it's time for Kiljardi to suffer some idle time as well, as Beasty moves in directly, wasting no time as the palace guards go directly to engage the main army mass, whereas the lancers split off towards the side looking for villager pickings and raids on the side. Upgrades still not coming in for Kiljardi, as the, you know, trash army mass from him here, essentially with the cheap units that don't cost any gold, is falling rapidly here. Palace guards are falling as well, but the crossbow numbers, you know, there's so many in queue, but only one out now, as they are being picked off by the lancers when they were coming out of the archery range before they moved out of position. Behind this, Beasty is gathering relics. Kiljardi is attempting to do the same. One in already for Beasty, but as to how many more he can get, we'll have to see. Still, not too terrible for Kiljardi in that fight.
Yeah, he didn't lose too many villagers right there. That's the main focus point that Beasty tried to do here. Trading out the army is great for him. Even numbers, because his are much higher quality, are now super decent. He can go for the relics, and that's the other important thing. He already got the third wonk out. The second relic is on the way, so Kiljardi will be hard-pressed to even find one or two relics there. Maybe the one just above his base. But yeah, Beasty doing a great job here of finding the right timing again.
Balls now going up onto the side of Beasty's base. Not wanting to suffer any more catastrophic raids this game. 3 relics, additional relics now on the way in for Beasty. Wololo in the northern side of the map almost goes off, but not quite there. 1 relic is in for Beasty, 2 more are on the way, and that northern one was on the way as well. I mean, it looks like Kiljardi is going to be only stuck on 2 relics if he even manages to secure that one to the north. And you know, 1 to 2 relic HRE with Regnus, that's not a very good spot to be in.
I mean, it's still preferable to having just the Burgrave if you played a long feudal, right? But still, this is not the opening that he wished for. Instead, Kiljardi would have loved to have his full army, full castle upgrades, and just push in as he takes the relics, but his timing was just off.
Just off indeed, right? A little bit of miss macro, maybe a slight overinvestment in feudal, just leading to this now difficult position where he's forced to run circles around his own base, chasing these lancers whilst at the same time focusing on relics. And you know, the army mass is building nicely for Kiljardi. 9 crossbows out already, 7 spears, some knights out on the field. But Beasty is mirroring just in turn with his own spears, his own crossbows, his own knights, while still having a healthy number of palace guards left as well. Raid down towards the south as well from a different angle, while the rest of the army is distracted on the backside by the lancers. more and more villages falling here for kiljardi, and all the while Beasty, being on Song Dynasty, does have faster villager production as well. And it looks like Beasty is going to make a serious move to secure this 4th relic, and if it is in fact secured by Beasty, then I think it will become extremely difficult for kiljardi to recover in this game. However, the army here does favor kiljardi in this position, so it seems like the relic is going to fall, but Beasty is doing such a good job. Even if he does lose the army here and lose the monk, he's just bringing the relic further back towards his side of the map, so that when he does recommit to it, it'll be even further from kiljardi's base and the rest of his reinforcements.
Quite right there, and we do see another little fairly devastating raid in the base there, with the lancers coming in from both sides. kiljardi just suffering a lot of idle time and multiple villager deaths. Now Beasty, he's almost fully walled at this point. kiljardi trying to punish that, and he does find 3 pickoffs and another one, but the first nest of P is out. Beasty's army mass is at home. kiljardi cannot stay here and just loses 2 knights for free. Relic is still up there because the Prelatids got sent to pick it up, got taken out, and now kiljardi really wants to protect this, but I don't think he can, honestly. I don't think he can. There is 18 spears, 14 crossbows for Beasty, and he can just walk out, and I think he'll just wait until kiljardi's army is up in that corner and stuck.
Yeah, and with the nested bees out as well, if Beasty, does look to make a move for that northern relic, which he could, but he might opt not to greed for it, as he already has 3 in the bank. He doesn't need to go too crazy for it if he doesn't want to. The clock tower nested bees might be enough to turn the fight in his favor if it does opt for it. However, I think, yeah, with the second TC going up in the back, he's just going to hold up, play defensively, the wars confirming that plan as well. Sit back with the 2 nested bees, just scale, get the granary transition going, and realistically, with 3 relics on his side and only 2 for the HRE, frankly, as painful as it is for kiljardi, the later this goes, the harder it will get for him.
Yeah, I saw kiljardi's resources going up there, reaching over the 1200 food mark for a second. I was like, okay, he's gonna greed for the Imperial, which might be his only chance, but no such luck for him. I think it would be the wise choice, but it wouldn't be kiljardi if he wouldn't be aggressive.
Wise choice is difficult to say, right? I mean, Beasty's army is already superior to kiljardi's, and committing to a Swabia in this position is so dangerous, because essentially it requires you to, give up the entirety of the map to your opponent, and, an opponent like Beasty, if he has access to the whole map, you can bet that he will take full advantage of it and use it to its full extent. That's the bees numbers swelling further. Now a 3rd one in queue. 4 crossbow spearmen here for Beasty in this position. A very solid, strong composition, and with a nest of bees that would deny any kind of archer counterplay that kiljardi might look for. But kiljardi, I mean, he's stuck between a rock and a hard place here, right? He needs the Swabia in order to not get severely outscaled here. But the issue with the Swabia is that it's so expensive that you will just not be able to match the unit numbers of Beasty if you do operate, and you will then be forced to put up a desperate defense against a siege from Beasty's superior siege.
Now, usually I hear people say when you go for a sneaky H-up, you just build it with less, but kiljardi needs the timing of the Swabia, needs to get it out fast, and every second nothing's happening and kiljardi is not attacking. Beasty is gonna smell that Swabia from a mile further away.
And it's so painful here for kiljardi, right? Because even if he wanted to be aggressive, how can he? There's a Barbican at the front, there's nest of bees, there's a very strong composition in the form of crossbowmen and spearmen. It's such a difficult spot to push into. Directly, there's absolutely no way to do so, but even with raids are so costly. And if you go under the TC and under the Barbican, the hand cannon slits do additional damage to armored units and high health units like knights, like horsemen, both of them prime raiding units. So really, frankly, it's just looking worse and worse for kiljardi in this position. Palace of the Swabia is going to give him some respite in terms of scaling, but I think as soon as it comes in, Beasty's going to start moving across the map and making a very aggressive push.
I mean, Beasty is fine with this, because even the Swabia needs a second to catch up to that quite significant difference of villager numbers now. Song Dynasty and the second town center churning away for quite a while. And look at the back of Beasty's base there in the corner. He's setting up to just overwhelm kiljardi.
Indeed he is. I mean, only a few minutes ago we saw a large swath, 27 villages I believe it was, moving out onto a berries there to get supervised, gathered up quick time, and that was just enough to make space for Beasty to set up a very, very booming granary transition here, as all three next to each other, boosting themselves drastically. Sacred sites locked in here for Kiljardi, but I don't imagine they will stay captured for long, as Kiljardi further building crossbows and spearmen. And having had some experience in this matchup myself, I feel like this composition is just not going to work very well in Kiljardi's favor, as once Yuan Dynasty comes in for Beasty, as well as having access to Nest of Bees, realistically his army, when mirrored like this in composition, is just better.
Yeah, I hear you right there. Do you think Beasty will go for his own Imperial Age right now, or do you go Yuan first? Go for the greedier option, set your pagodas up still?
It's a good question. I think like it might be a little bit dangerous if you delay Imperial Age 2 too much. I mean, there are some upgrades already coming in for Kiljardi. Looks like cannon emplacements coming in as well on his side of the map. If you do delay the Imperial Age here for Beasty too much, there might be a window where Kiljardi can reassert some position on the map in his favor. So I think Yuan Dynasty might get delayed till after Imperial Age. Yeah, seeing the resources start to swell up for Beasty. The full granary transition in tow and complete by now. Now up to 2k food per minute pretty much. Kiljardi lagging behind at only 1.1k food per minute. Imperial, yeah, with the Great Wall here going up, the Great Wall Gatehouse will be going up on top of it as well.
Yeah, there's just one entry to Beasty's base now, and even half of that is covered by the Gatehouse, covering that farming economy as well. And there's that not insignificant army with 4 Nest of Bees and 2 more in queue, and those are Clock Tower Bees as well. They are not a pleasant news for Kiljardi. I'm not quite sure how much information he has about Beasty's army at this point in time. Moving very aggressively towards that big middle gold, as we see another raiding ping in his base going up. Oh, that must probably just be a scout, hopefully.
Might just be a scout. I mean, Kiljardi's trying to look
Never
for
mind, it
some
was a
sort
spear.
of yeah, spearman.
Singular spear.
It would take a bit more than just a singular spearman to get any significant damage done, that's for sure. But Kiljardi, you saw, I mean, he knew that Beasty sat back there and he wanted to look for some kind of timing to get damage done. But like you said yourself, Ascad, 4 Nest of Bees, now up to 5, a 6th one in queue. Great Wall Gatehouse, Barbican. This is such a tough nut to crack.
Now, judging outside of the position that Beasty is obviously in an advantage, having the better relics, having his farming economy already set up, what is going on through a mind of a pro player in this second? What do you think about? Feel like you need to secure the gold, you want to secure yourself some stone as well, and of course, if there is the sacred sites in any way, shape or form dangerous to you or advantageous to you, then you'll set yourself up for a sacred victory, but I don't see that happening right now.
Yeah, sacred victory is something that would be more than surprising in this position for either player, really, but specifically in Kiljardi's position. But you're pretty much right, Ascalad. The big golds are the name of the game in this position here for both players, right? They are likely what will determine this game in the long run, right? I mean, we have the large gold vein in the center there, which is almost pretty much even distance from both players. That will likely be the most contested zone on the map so far. Then you have that far northern one there as well. It looks like one of Beasty's units, which I think might be a scout, just moving there as well. Looking to see if Kiljardi does opt for some sort of keep drop there, potentially, as Kiljardi has his own scout or unit there as well in order to check for it. Yeah. Oh, there we go. It's in fact a monk, and Beasty had just one spearman there patrolling to see what is being cooked.
Yeah, Beasty completely unperturbed by Kiljardi's wall there that he placed right in front of his face, straight across half of the map. But looking at the numbers, oh, we do see a Bombard and a Culverin trading out against each other, and that is a Clock Tower Bombard. Well, Culverin getting field repaired, but one Culverin is not going to cut it against the 6 Nest of Bees that are currently rolling up, and that Culverin's going to realize that in just a second. Or is it? Hello?
Oh. Very close there. I mean, if both players were looking away just for a a minute there as the covering could have been made very short work of by those clock tower nested bees that they go in. Annoying little raid here coming in from Beasty as kiljardi slacking a little bit on the defenses here, right? There's not a single tower on his main Aachen field there, so you know, his income is mostly exposed, whereas Beasty, of course, has not only the wall, but the Great Wall Gatehouse in turn as well, keeping his farms nice and secure from any kind of shenanigans that kiljardi might try for. But yeah, I mean, we see here the armies are almost identical here, right? We have crossbow spearmen against crossbow spearmen, but the most notable difference is that, yes, kiljardi has a significantly higher number of infantry, however, Beasty has a very significant siege advantage as well. So if it comes to a fight here, I think those nested bees are going to make very short work of kiljardi's additional army mass.
Yeah, kiljardi is in dire straits now. With just everything that Beasty has in the siege department is clock tower as well. So the 2 culverts, they're just not enough. Even if you had twice that amount with the bombards there as well, you just cannot deny that the siege prowess, and kiljardi will just have to retreat and retreat and retreat. What is going to be his solution? More culverts.
And more culverins is not a bad idea, right? It's worth to note that the culverins do have additional attack speed and range compared to the bombard, trading off some damage in turn. So it's one of the most reliable ways that you can possibly pick off those nested bees and those bombards if you are kiljardi. Sure, you would love to get some horsemen for yourself here in this position as well, but the issue with the horsemen is that there are in fact elite spearmen on Beasty's side, so getting a good engage and wrap onto those nested bees and bombards is going to prove far more difficult than he perhaps anticipated.
Usually you're like, yeah, nice, I just got 2 shots off against the nest of bees, and it's gonna be down momentarily, but he does take out the first one, and the culverins is almost, oh no, this is the full connection. Nest of bees are still going strong, still going up. They're being pulled just a little bit back so the bombers can work on it, but look at that shot, oh my god! Well, that was half of kiljardi's ranged mass, and the other half is going right. No, this is not looking great for him, even if the numbers are still favoring. Look at the bank, and Beasty is adding in the hand cannoneers now, has the extra range already researched, and we do have the palace guard mass coming in as well. kiljardi's bank is just not there to defend this, even if the culverins are still going strong. Most nest of bees still alive, getting field repaired as well. kiljardi is going to be able to hold here, but nest of bee shot was brutal.
I don't know what happened there to kiljardi's shooting down for a moment. Perhaps a very sneaky raid by Beasty in the back, but it fell down all the way to 200 feet a minute for kiljardi there for just a few seconds, which is a horrible time for that to happen as the fight rages on heavily. Beasty's economy
another
is
great shot by the bees, and now we've got the clock tower bombards taking out the last culverin. Bees, though, have been traded out, so that's gone. But the hand cannoneers, 16 of them already. kiljardi is trying to add in his own. The elite crossbows will still make a good fight of it, but the mass for Beasty is just ramping and ramping. And if you look at that food income, 2,700 against just 1,000 of kiljardi. He did manage to secure himself the big gold at the top side, but the one in the center is now squarely in Beasty's control.
And that gold in the far north of the map, frankly, it is the only saving grace for kiljardi in this game at this point in time. I mean, without gold access, there's no units, and without units, there's no hope of keeping a base secure, right? And like you mentioned yourself, Asklad, with that bank that Beasty has combined with this, what is essentially the endgame Chinese army that has historically been so oppressive at this stage of the game, elite palace guards, hand cannoneers with the additional range, chemistry in just by default for the Chinese in the Imperial Age, as well as that clock tower siege behind as well. This is such a potent army from the Chinese that has always been very difficult for most civilizations to deal with.
I was gonna pick your brain about the choice of going for the hand cannoneers first against the Yuan dynasty, but we do see another engagement here, and let's see if that choice is being warranted, as the hand cannoneers are just plow through that front line immediately. Now the crossbows, they're doing great against the palace guards, but yeah, the Chinese palace guards, they do have the extra health, so it takes a moment, and now the hand cannoneers are on top of that crossbow mass. We'll just trade that out, and as we mentioned several several times. The bank is just not there for kiljardi. He just doesn't have the food income to do much about this. Beasty pulls villagers forward to repair his bombards. Calvin's all the way in the back doing a decent job here, keeping the numbers down, but yeah, Clock Tower bombards being pulled forward and taking them out in short order.
Yep, villagers being brought to the front line for Beasty as well, as it looks like the bombards for a moment were just going in for the hug towards kiljardi's crossbowmen there briefly. But yeah, I mean, with the villagers here, those bombards are not likely to go down anytime soon. You can see the culverins trying to take them down, but 2 culverins just tickling that clock tower bombard. It's just too much. And yeah, kiljardi knows it. It's over. 3-0 for Beasty as he decisively takes game number 3 as well. What a painful series here for kiljardi. Honestly, it was. I mean, Beasty just finishing him in such clinical fashion.
Can we get the stage view instead? Since never mind, we have a smiling Beasty. Let's see what kiljardi's expression is. Sometimes that man scares me.
Yeah, we see we get a good view of Beasty's there with his slightly pursed lips and satisfied expression. He's certainly happy with his performance. Whereas kiljardi, as stoic as ever, trying to sort of perhaps jog in his head what went wrong in that series. But we do have the man of the hour himself here in the room, ready for an interview after his decisive victory against the one and only kiljardi.
Let's make some space for the man. And this time we have... No, you keep that on, because look at what that man's carrying in his hand.
He does in fact have a microphone.
Does it actually work, please?
Oh.
Nice. That is beautiful. Speaking of beautiful, 3-0 victory. That was decisive and impressive. Were there any points in any of those games where you thought, this might be an uphill battle for you? Were there any where you were really under pressure and thought, kiljardi got me?
Not sure if it was under pressure, but the first game when he reached castle with Ayyubid against French, it can always be like a bit weird because you just have camel lancers, but then you gotta deny the food, and if you kind of fail that, he might run away with the game. But I feel like once I pro scouted enough, it was good enough. The last game, playing against HRE is always hard, and it's hard to win games early against them. So I kind of try to play a bit of a longer game and, get to the stage where I think he's probably not comfortable. So kind of worked out.
Yeah, he had a little bit of a miss macro going on into his own castle age, so his timing was delayed, and you just immediately walked into his base. That was a beautiful move right there. Was that? Did you expect him to be that late on the castle age, or were you surprised?
I saw him massing units, so I assumed he's gonna do a dive. But then I put up villagers around Barbican and TC. So even if he did do a dive, I feel like he would probably not kill a lot and lose a lot. So in the end, he decided to not go through with it. But when you commit that many units and you don't end up doing anything, I feel like you're just behind. So from that point on, me having palace guards and knights, I feel like I got quite a bit of value from those.
Nice.
I wanted to ask myself, specifically in that JD Byzantines game, there was a moment there in the early skirmishes where a couple knights went down here and there, some spears were killed as well, and it was looking a little bit tenuous there, in the sort of mid-feudal age, I want to say. It was looking slightly worrying for you there, slightly, at least from my perspective, but then you beautifully made it out his army there in the center of the map. Do you think that was a mistake from him there, potentially, and it might have been more difficult if he didn't push out so far, or were you still comfortable even without him moving out?
I felt in that game he was a bit shaky. Like, killing an early villager on gold is pretty bad for, like, a mental state. So when he lost that, and I almost got a second one, like, I just did a turnaround, I got a second one almost. I felt like, he's, like, not pulling the villagers fast enough, so maybe I can get another kill. Then I got another kill on the cistern. And if you get a couple of kills there, it makes the castle age up a lot harder. So even though I maybe lost a couple of knights, I feel like it was still, like he was put under pressure. He walked across the map, but then there was knights in his base, so he was like walking back because he can't really dive my side. So it was just, I feel like a little bit of an uncomfortable game for him. And this is a matchup I played quite a lot, so I felt pretty good in it.
Very good, very good. I'm not sure if there's any other questions. Let's see the matchups once more.
questions, actually.
Oh.
So we do have legal counsel here, brought all the way from the world of the Netherlands. He is here to address the question on everyone's mind. Is there going to be justice for Jigglyturd? Ladies and gentlemen, to present the case for Jigglyturd, we have Boy.
Hello, hello, hello.
Go ahead.
So, the question that's been on everyone's mind, of course. There has been a terrible mistake made by banning one of the most
Wow.
prominent members of our AoE4 community. And now the question will of course be, will you sign the unban contract or will it be a perma forever?
Wow. So I got this contract delivered a couple of days ago, and hold on this for me. After careful consideration, I am going to choose to.
I think that was a very clear statement.
That's going to be a perma.
Now, of course, then
And you're never getting unbanned, by the way. So think about that.
then we have the That's a Perma t-shirt.
Yeah, justice for Jiggly. There's no justice. It's he deserved. He is perma ban, right? So justice assumes that he was innocent, but no.
I guess opinions differ.
Look at that. That's a perma. And he's never getting unbanned. Thank you. Any other follow-ups of that, Jiggly? Any more attempts or?
No. Let's all we tried Jiggly as we should in general, people. Sorry, Eric. Anyway, do you have a prediction for us? We've got Demo versus Louis.
I actually don't know. I feel like Louis was a bit shaky in this tournament, maybe because it's land, maybe he's got some nerves going on. So I actually think it's going to be a close match. I'm not sure who's going to take it, but I would say 3-2, 2-3, whichever
maps.
way. Yeah, I think it's going to go all the way. We'll definitely see some walls coming in from Louis. Couple of layers, maybe. Who knows?
Okay, people, we'll see 5 maps, we'll see layers, and we'll have a good time. Thank
Bye-bye.
you for your time, and see you in the finals. Okay, folks, we'll take a quick moment while the players set up as we get another donation getting right in there. Thank you very much. Look at this beautiful bar up there. Yesterday it was at 82%, now it's at 83%, but the number changed quite a bit. So people, look at that. Thank you very much for your support. Keep in mind, everything here goes to the prize pool and towards further events that we can run here. If this one's a success, if our viewer numbers stay up, if our donation numbers stay up, we'll be possibly able to run more LAN events like this in the future. So all of your support is very much appreciated. And yeah, I don't know. I can't say anything more than thank you guys. But yeah, I think our production's gonna cut to the break and we'll be right back. Okay. Ah! It's over.